Hey, everybody. This is Craig Patterson, and this is the Dreamers and Doers podcast. And I'm really excited today because we got one of our newer employees here at Aryaka, actually one of the smartest guys I know, here to talk about our transformation and where we're going from an AI perspective, and also to share some details in terms of just market trends we're seeing around AI. So my guest today is Aditya Sood. He is the VP of Security Engineering and AI Strategy at Aryaka. He also recently wrote another book called The Empirical Cloud Security, a guide to practical intelligence to evaluate risks and attacks. My main man here has got a lot of experience, 16 plus years of domain experience in cybersecurity, threat intelligence, cloud, and just a remarkable track record. And we feel very lucky to have him on our team here. So Aditya, welcome to the show, my man.
Thanks, Craig. Thanks for having me on this podcast. And thanks for the nice words too.
Yeah, I'm excited to jump into it. So let's talk about your background. Like, how did you ultimately end up in cybersecurity? Like, how did you fall in love with threat intelligence? How did you end up in here at Aryaka? What's your path, man?
Yeah. So interestingly, I have always find myself fortunate because the stuff that I wanted to do, but with the God grace, I got the chance to work on it, and which is a cybersecurity. Right from starting early 2000, I was so, actuated towards like cybersecurity, how these exploits work, how the attackers go after, exploiting vulnerabilities in Windows, XP Service Pack 2, all those kind of things. I remember we have a DCOM RPC exploit at that point of time, heavily used for compromising Windows machines. So that actually, make me pretty much enthusiastic towards the process of learning security. And I feel fortunate, as I said, I got a chance to work in that field. I did my BTech in the same space, master's in the same space, and fortunately, PhD in the same space as well. After that, industry experience, I was able to work in the security space for several companies, which are Fortune 500, typically starts from, initial startups to mid-scale to the proper public companies. So got a pretty interesting set of experience in that space as well. And, that the journey continued. And, one of the interesting artifacts I always believe is the sense of discipline and learning. So I continued on that path. And at the end of the day, I think we are still delivering on the promise of sharing the research and knowledge with the community, either through our publications, conferences, books, articles, blogs. That is one of the main points that I always adhere to, keep on delivering back to the community and using all this set of knowledge to build robust security solutions. And that's what we are targeting here at Aryaka as well.
Excellent. Well, it sounds like tremendous background experience there. Excited to have you again here as part of Aryaka. You're going to create so much value for our customers, our partners, and our employees here. So can't wait to see all that. One question I always like to kick things off with, the title of this podcast is called The Dreamers and Doers. So, I always like to ask my guests, what are you up to today? What are you doing? And what are you dreaming about? Where are you taking Aryaka as we go through this journey?
Yeah, absolutely. I believe that, following or adhering to the principle of having a dream life is the kind of work you want to do, and you got a chance to do that kind of work. But you have to have a realistic dreams as well, right? At the end of the day, what that matters is that, you achieve those dreams or not. So when we tie up the word realism with that, dreams, there is another artifact that comes with that is called as responsibility. And I believe that, realistic dreams need to be articulated back into the responsibility way where we actually have to go ahead and then deliver it back to the community. So I got that chance. I learn a lot, and then I share a lot because I believe that, the learning curves need to be enhanced with the passage of time. And that only enhanced when you learn and then you share and then you with the community. Otherwise, it just becomes a static way. And then, we want to stay in a motion. And then the learning curve, that's how the exponential, work goes in the field of cybersecurity when you keep on learning and keep on delivering. So with that context, whatever the knowledge I have obtained basically from the earlier experiences, we are utilizing the power of that knowledge to taking the Aryaka ship to the next level. And the idea here is that to integrating networking and security play, we have a great products in the network space. I call it as a bedrock of any platform. And then from there onwards, we are building a strong security future. And the reason for that is because the world is moving towards more complexity, the way data is moving. And at the end of the day, we need a single pane, a window where we can actually look into what's going on in my network and what is going in the security space. And that is our target. And I think we are moving towards that direction with the proper pace.
Yeah, I love that. I mean, I love hearing about the dream, the dream of unified SASSY as a service, right? And now it's here. We've delivered this unbelievable value proposition, right? That totally brings us to the convergence of, security and networking on a single pane of glass. When I talk to a lot of customers out there today, they're all dealing with many, many challenges, right? They're all dealing with the complexity around security. You're dealing with the issue of having multiple providers across their security landscape, trying to handle all their network posture, trying to handle the SaaS acceleration. The bottom line, my friend, it's very difficult, right? It's confusing, it's complex, and they're all looking for a better way. So talk to me about your approach to security. Maybe give us a little bit of background about this book that you've written and a little highlight of your thinking and as it relates to security.
Absolutely, Craig. That's a pretty interesting question. So what I believe that, we have came across significant, with the strand of time. And the reason for that is because earlier we were talking about on-premise data centers and all that data stays there. So I'll take this thing from a context of multi-cloud issue, and then I want to talk few concepts in a crisp manner, and then why it actually took me to the next level to drive this book in this way. So the idea in that case is that considering the cloud environment, right, we believe that at the end of the day, data is the key, right? So we have to structure this discussion around data. So somebody calls us data is the new oil. I treat it as like if anybody controls the data, controls the keys to the kingdom. So let's take a step back and understand this. So we need to first understand the concept of authorization boundary, right? Previously, data stayed on-premise. And from there onwards, we have taken into the next leap forward, designing cloud infrastructure. The data moves from one environment to the another. So with that process, the concept of authorization boundary stays the same, but the boundary expanded, right? Earlier, data stays in some part of time, but right now, it is traveling across multiple devices to multi-cloud and stuff like that. And with that kind of approach, what happened in that case, if you look into the threat model aspect of it, it changes because your boundary changes, right? And that has a direct impact on your attack management play, right? Because your attack surface also got enhanced. The second complex play is shared responsibility model, because at this point of time, when you talk about cloud environment, right, providers give you that cloud, they give you a lot of security features, but you need to have a know-how how exactly we're going to deploy those features to ensure secure cloud infrastructure for running SaaS applications and several other services. So combining these two factors of an authorization boundary as well as, shared responsibility model, we need to think about the way data is getting impacted. So for example, if we talk about cloud service providers who owns the data, they give you a lot of interesting insights. Similarly, the attackers, if they control the data, they know how to use it for nefarious purposes. So that being said, that actually drives the requirement for we need to have a certain kind of knowledge to be placed in such a manner that we do hands-on practice, right? We go ahead and then test these AWS services, for example, find vulnerabilities, penetration testing, use those strategies, whether black box, white box, gray box, to go ahead and find security issues in your own network or in any kind of remote networks, like any cloud across the geographical locations. So I think that drives me because technology got more complex. So does the threat model and so does the attack surface. So with that, we really need to enhance, upscale the level of doing assessment and security. So that's why it drives me to, get to this book. And I drafted based on the real world experience and covered several real world case studies on the issues that we found during our research.
I mean, it sounds like an amazing practical resource, right? If I'm trying to understand how to protect against that threat surface, right? And those boundaries, like this seems like an amazing resource that I could leverage. And by the way, the book is called Empirical Cloud Security. Where could the folks find the book if they want to purchase it? Is it on Amazon or where would you find it?
Yeah, it's available on Amazon and several other outlets as well.
All right. So there you go. You heard it from here. Go to Amazon, buy the book, check it out. It's a great practical resource for you to figure out how to protect against the boundaries and the attack surface. And that's one of the things that I hear a lot about to the partner community is the risk associated with the attack surface, especially as a lot of these remote users you're integrated into the network, or now they're all bringing their own devices, right? So you're trying to figure out, how do I protect the remote user, protect with their own devices? What feedback would you give around that? Is that addressed in your book as well?
Yeah, we have covered several cases related to that as well. So if we discuss about the similar concept, I say the discussion should revolve around the data, right? Even you have BYODs, right? At the end of the day, it's the data that moves from your boundaries to boundaries, right? And as long as you are able to secure the boundary and ensure that proper authentication and authorization controls are in place, I think you can circumvent additional set of attacks. You can even treat like insider threats if you ensure that, you're able to enforce those controls in the right way. So I think the book covers all those things, and book also covers very interesting hands-on approach by showing real-world case studies, how we detect flaws in real-world cloud applications, and somehow we exploited it in a responsible way, and then how we disclose it back to the providers as well. So they can use all that interesting experience plus the validated knowledge that we have seen in the real world, and that they can actually go ahead and utilize it to secure their own organizational and cloud environment.
Excellent. Well, thanks for sharing the details in your book. So looking at the audience here, we have a lot of folks, from a customer standpoint, looking for feedback on how to better secure their infrastructure. And we have partners, a lot of channel partners globally listening into this podcast, because they're having the same conversations with their clients, and they're all facing the same problems, my friend, is, trying to protect against the ever-changing security landscape. The attack surface continues to grow and grow. Talk to me about some of the trends that you're seeing out there. And one of the hot topics that I'm hearing about is the notion of the adversarial attacks, where people are leveraging AI to stimulate the attacks. Maybe talk to me about some of those key trends you're seeing.
Absolutely. We start a discussion within an AI play, right? So I think right now we as an industry working towards defining those attacks in a very structured way. Like we definitely have our vast top 10 available. But from my understanding perspective, the way I look at it, I think we have to secure the whole AI ecosystem. So when we call as AI ecosystem, we categorize and then we present that taxonomy into three primary buckets. Bucket one revolves around the large language models. Bucket two primarily represent Gen AI applications. Bucket three is the whole supporting AI infrastructure, which is like underlying hardware and all those additional components. So we need to secure the whole AI ecosystem. That should be our target, right? Typically covering LLMs, we talk about adversarial attacks, attacking directly the LLMs by data poisoning, injection, and all those kind of things. But on the contrary, if you look, we also need to understand the security model around the Gen AI applications. Because majority of the way these LLMs are being consumed is through by API interface, which is basically HTTP REST API interface. And then you utilize that to actually interact with the LLMs as well. For example, these days, if you talk about Google Gemini, right, they actually provide that interface. All this is an open source, but we saw a lot of interesting security vulnerabilities in that when you deploy it and you don't test it securely. Similarly, with AI infrastructure, for example, in the real world, we are seeing, people have exposed their data sets, for example, training data sets that are utilized for AI operations. It's exposed on the internet. Several other things similarly go in the same way, right? So as a building a complete AI 360-degree security profile, you need to look into all these things in a one. But that doesn't mean that the world is not facing the similar set of attacks that we're facing earlier. For example, I want to cover some of the attacks that are still pretty running in the wild. The first one is, we talk about ransomware, which is totally fine. That is like, infecting end user devices through drive-by download attacks. But we are also seeing ransomware is directly hitting the cloud databases. We released a couple of interesting tools earlier that were actually designed to conduct penetration testing of those databases to ensure whether they're infected with ransomware or not. Second one is like, the APIs, right? Everything that is communicated through these days is like APIs. I call it like a billion APIs world, right? Data leakages through APIs is also a big problem. And at last, the data exfiltration that happens through as a part of the leakage is a severe problem. You look at all around the security breaches, they actually cover that. And that is the most important, I would say, error-prone play by the administrators or the users, because they don't enforce secure authentication and authorization controls there. Doesn't take much. You don't need to exploit any vulnerability, simply an configuration error, and then actually open it to security breaches. So a couple of those things tie up with the latest AI revolution and the way we are seeing the complexity. I think we are facing with the severe threat. As I said, threat model changes, so does the attack surface. And that's the complexity we are dealing with at the moment.
Okay, super interesting there topics you shared. So you talked a lot about, the different components of AI with the LLMs, the Gen AI and the hardware that we're all protecting against. Talked about some of the attacks with the ransomware, the APIs. So tell me a little bit about your vision here at Aryaka and how you're addressing the AI infrastructure, the attack surface, and all those different threats that you mentioned. Like, what are you doing to build something different in the market that doesn't exist today? And then what does the future look like? Where are we going beyond that?
Absolutely. So as we discussed recently, right? So we are looking for an integrated networking and security play, right? Considering our AI strategy, we consider into three primarily plays here. First one is AI perform, AI observe, and AI secure. So one of the things that I think we all agree on the fact that unless you don't have a visibility into the environment, there is no way you can enforce security controls. Like visibility is the most important part, right? At Aryaka, because we are having a strong bedrock of networking components, even related to AI workloads that need to be deployed. Again, the data needs to move from one geographical location to the other, right? So with the Aryaka, you can actually do a lot of through WAN optimization. You can handle those AI workload plays in an efficient manner because you can move data easily. For example, any AI model that you are running in your environment, you need data for training. Data needs to move from different places, different geographical locations. Aryaka helps you to do that in a very easy way, in a very optimized way, and very, very effective way. So that's an AI perform where we enable you to actually run your AI workloads with the faster moving of data from different locations.
I'm going to double click real quick into that. I think it's very important. This is a key differentiator for Aryaka in the space. So to the community out there, when you think about Aryaka, we built this unbelievable global infrastructure, right? Leveraging POPs globally that are meshed together in a layer 2 topology. So because we have that infrastructure, it gives us the ability to optimize that LMM traffic better than anybody else on the planet because we can control it, accelerate it, optimize it over that core infrastructure. So that's the premise behind AI Perform. So tell us where we're going next, my friend. What's beyond that?
Yeah, the next one is the AI observer. We believe in like an observability play to the next level. And what it exactly means is getting the insights from your network and the security in a correlated way so that you can understand what exactly going into your AI infrastructure. It could be related to any supporting components. We call it as like any servers that are handling AI related traffic and any adjacent component that are supporting them, right? So it's a pure ecosystem play there as well. So we are ensuring that you have a complete visibility into that and you observe what exactly is happening into your AI infrastructure. And Aryaka is going to provide that component, and that's actually enables you to, from performing, handling workloads, to now observing how those workloads are behaving in your environment. And once you do that, there comes our third component called as AI secure. So we're going to help there, ensuring that your AI workloads in the environment have appropriate security features from access controls to the threat protection and all related artifacts that actually help you to strengthen and build your secure AI infrastructure. Just imagine the beauty of Aryaka in this way, right? We have the underlying bedrock, and then you have the security features on the top of it, from picking up the AI workloads, deploying them, getting the data for your training in a very fast and reliable way, observing them, and then securing them. I mean, it's just a full workflow that we believe in, and that's what Aryaka is coming. The future products are targeted that.
Yeah, so this is an awesome segment here. I mean, this really gives you a view into where Aryaka is going from a AI perspective. I love the strategy that's been laid out. We're in phase 1, right? We're leveraging the Perform to help accelerate the AI workloads. And then comes the insights, right? Through the AI Observe. That's coming up next. We're going to be looking at the logging or details, giving insights into the traffic that's flowing over the network. And then the nirvana, right, is securing it, leveraging those logs, making inherent decisions based upon the traffic flows that we're seeing across the network. So I'm very excited about that. Any more details you want to share about the AI strategy?
Absolutely. So this is the way how we are going to productize the AI play, right? But that doesn't mean that we are not going to work on the education part as well, right? So all the intelligence that we are gathering based on our Aryaka dedicated research in this field, we're going to utilize and harness the power of that intelligence and feedback into our products. So what that means, side by side, Aryaka is also entirely focused on conducting advanced research in the AI space. So this month, we are actually presenting at Anti-Phishing Working Group the number of real-world attacks in the AI, on the AI ecosystem. And you will see that how exactly that security vulnerabilities exist on them. And from there onwards, you see why when Aryaka AI strategy on, secure, observe, and secure works permanently in that space because it is being built harnessing the power of those intelligence that we are investing efforts in. So education, learning, and side-by-side productization, that's the way we do the work at Aryaka, and then we are following that standards here.
Yeah, just great stuff. I've really enjoyed this conversation. You've got tremendous background. Congratulations again on the book. Again, check it out. Get it on Amazon. I appreciate the vision, right, in terms of where the market is going, the trends you're seeing around the perimeters and the attack surface and the boundaries, and more importantly, how companies can lean in to actually develop an AI strategy or a threat protection strategy to prevent those attacks. And thanks for sharing the detail on where we're going from an AI perspective. There's a lot more to go through here, and I know we're out of time. But channel community, I'm definitely going to have him on some of our upcoming webinars. We'll have an opportunity to meet more of Aditya here to go through some of the more detail around AI. Where can they find you on social if they have questions they want to reach out?
Yeah, I'm on LinkedIn. That's the best platform. And I think this is my profile. They can send me any queries. I'm more than happy to respond there as fast as I can.
Excellent. My man, it's been a pleasure. Thank you so much for all the details. It's been a great show. And with that, Dreamers and Doers, we'll catch you next time. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, everyone. Thanks, Craig, for having me. Thanks, everybody, for listening. Take care.